Hello and welcome to the Daily Lawyer podcast. My name is Jenna Krishnan. I'm your host, and today is yet another episode in our Careers in the Law series. And for today's episode, we have someone who's very popular on the internet, especially among lawyers. She's a veritable legal influencer. You may know her as your Insta lawyer, but also, I think this is the first time I'm actually introducing them somebody by their internet name and not really by their real name. So Tanya, Miss Tanya Apache, also known as your Insta lawyer, welcome to the Daily Lawyer podcast.
Thank you so much, Jenna. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad you made it. So I'm just going to take a minute to tell everyone what exactly your background is, which I got off the internet. Tanya is an ex. Tanya is
I
an
hope
ex.
it's right.
I hope so too. If there's any mistake, you'll have to tell me. Tanya is an ex-PwC tax consultant turned legal content creator. She makes short format videos to make law and lawyers accessible to everyone. That's why I am so excited to have her here, because there's so much synergy in what she does and what we hope to do with the Daily Lawyer. She's listed as one of Forbes' top 100 digital stars in India as a changemaker. She was also the protagonist for Levi's India Shape My World campaign in 2022. She mostly makes videos and content around women's rights and is truly blazing a new trail when it comes to the way legal education and information is given out in our country. So I'm so excited to talk to you. I have so many questions for you, Tanya. Thank you for making the time today.
Thank you so much. Thank
Now,
you.
now that I did give this introduction and you are blazing a new trail, how did this come about? But before you tell me exactly how this came about, can you just take us back to when you started law? Why did you think of getting into law as a career? And what has your journey been like from the time you started at law school to today?
I think me joining law had a lot to do with my father, because my father was an advocate too. And unfortunately, he wasn't really present in my life. My mom was a divorcee, so
Oh,
my
huh,
parents divorced when I was really young, when I was
huh.
3, 4 years old, and he was never present in my life. So, I kind of had a very naive, childish thought that maybe, if I become a lawyer, that would
So
change.
sweet, yeah.
It's just a very childish, naive thing. So that was always there in the back of my head. And I think I was a very shy kid. I mean, I wasn't very outspoken, or wasn't someone who was out there all the time in school. So I kind of used to think twice before telling people that I wanted to be a lawyer, because you have this vision or an
Yeah,
idea of
yeah,
a lawyer as this like really loud, outspoken
yeah.
person,
True,
and
talkative.
aggressive. Yeah. So I wasn't typically that kind of a person. So that's something that I hid from my school, my teachers, my peers throughout my school life. And I think it's only when I did my college and I knew science was not for me, that the need to do law kind of really solidified, and I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So yes, it started from something really, I don't know, like silly and emotional, but I think when I joined law, I definitely thoroughly started enjoying it. And the thoughts why I started doing this kind of change into, really making a difference or having interest in the kind of work that I was doing. So that's how I became a lawyer. And I definitely did not think of content creation as an option when I
Yeah.
was doing law. I think when you are studying, you have like plans to, work in a good law firm, or do litigation, or, become this hotshot lawyer that everybody thinks you deserve to be. So I too had plans like that. So during my internships in college, I realized that a lot of things were not for me. Like, I realized that I was not a person who would enjoy litigation. So this is something I've interned a couple of times in my law school. I've even interned in the Supreme Court. I mean, it's exciting, of course, but having that kind of a career for the rest of my life was something that I was like, this is not for me. So that's when I decided to shift to corporate, and I got through my college placements. I got into PwC. It was good. It was enjoyable. I had a good time, but unfortunately, circumstances, like I got married to an army officer, and it was my personal choice, so I have no one to blame for it. But being with somebody in the army means moving every couple of
Yeah.
years, right?
Yeah.
And so I did try to build on my career for a couple of years with PwC, but then there was also a point in time when, I don't know why my phone is, there was a point in time when I felt the need to also, join my husband, start a family, etc.
Yeah.
So moving a lot meant not having a stable law career. It's not easy, of course.
That's of course.
So I did try. I was in Jodhpur. I was working the High Court with a senior advocate. Um, Although litigation is not something I enjoyed, I just wanted to stay in my field. I didn't want
Yeah.
to move into something else. So I said, let's do this. So that was a great experience. And then COVID happened, childbirth happened, a lot of things changed for me, and I felt the need to, everybody was going online, everything was,
Yeah.
people were working from
Yeah.
home, and people were doing a lot of things. I was consuming a lot of social media
Yeah.
as a consumer. I was sitting at
Yeah.
home. I was just taking care of a baby. All I did was watch, like,
Yeah.
reels or YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And I was like, why not? I mean,
Mm.
why not do try something like this? And that was a time when there was a lot of legal content on YouTube, and like maybe podcasting. I'm not sure if podcasting was there,
Yeah.
3 2 3 years ago. It's right now a little
Yeah.
more uh, out there. So I hardly saw, I mean, I never saw any legal content on Reels. There were a few lawyers
That's
out
true.
there,
Yeah.
but they weren't making content. They were
Yeah.
just there on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I said, why not? I mean, I saw
Yeah.
doctors, I saw, like, psychiatrists online. So I said, why not try this? And
Mm.
I remember the love jihad laws had just come out in
Yeah.
UP, the ordinance. And I said, okay, fine, let's do this. Let's make a
Yeah.
video on this.
Yeah.
I remember my first video was this damn awkward standing and, just saying something, kind of a video. But I think it was just a thing that I have to do this. I can keep thinking about this for
Yeah.
many months and many
Yeah.
years and not do it, or I can just do it right now.
Yeah.
So that's how it came into being. A lot of it was for my own self.
Yeah.
Uh, a lot of it was for me to have a second chance at something while I
Mm.
could sit at home and take care of my kid. I think
Mm.
at that point of time, that was important for me.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, so that's how I started it.
But one of the, or not one, but a couple of things that strike me when you speak is that the first thing is that you were willing to try. Like, I know how difficult it is to put
Yeah.
yourself out there, because now I'm in similar shoes, even though I'm not uh, as sort of regular with the posting as probably you are. So it's really hard to put yourself out there, and then you're just there for people to invite comments. People tell you, oh, you forgot to check this judgment. Oh, you did not see in Patna High Court, there's some conflicting view. You're thinking, I can't possibly look at every single judgment of every single court. So it's very hard, and so what you're doing is very commendable. And
I think the
also,
first the first mind block comes within your own self,
correct.
because
Yeah.
you are a lawyer. Say, you, for example, you've studied in such a good college, you've done
Yeah.
your masters, you have peers who are doing really, are
Yeah.
partners in law firm.
Yeah.
And then to start over at an age doing something that
Yeah.
is probably frowned upon in our
Absolutely.
industry
Yeah.
was kind of hard for me. So
Of
for
course.
me to get out of that mindset that, people are going to laugh, and I'm sure people laughed when I
Yeah.
started it. I don't blame them. I
Yeah.
probably would have done the same.
Yeah.
But when it clicks, it clicks. And
Yeah.
when it clicks, then
Absolutely.
nobody says anything. Everybody's
Yeah.
like, oh, wow, you're doing
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
great
Yeah. Of
job.
course. Your
Yeah,
success washes away all the sins, right?
exactly.
So no problem. As long as you're successful, you're good. But the
Yeah,
other thing that I was thinking of, and I want to highlight this because, see, generally when I'm seeing, and there is a sort of wave of legal influencers now and it's a very short, like, it's very nascent, but it started. And I remember seeing your name, and that was my first time that I came across your profile. There was somebody sent me an article, 7 legal influencers from India or
yeah,
something, and you were the only name or only person on the list who has had work experience for at least what, 7 8 years, whatever,
yeah,
x number of years, which is the sizable. There were people who were still students,
yeah.
and with no disrespect, I'm very happy that they're doing these things. But personally, I was thinking, how is it that we can say, we can say confidently about the law and options, or, what are the options that you have without having some amount of practical experience. And so then I went through all of your profiles and I figured that the people who are students are mainly speaking about the statute, like this is what is given in the statute, so
Yeah.
therefore, so it's and that is a different information, and that's fine. So that was the first time I actually came across what you did. And I also wanted to highlight for anyone who wants to listen, and I'm a bit afraid to say this because you get so much of hate back, um, that what you did was, even though you were moving and this was something that was there in your mind, you still spent time uh, in various professional sort of garnering professional experience. You said you did a couple of litigation internships. You knew you didn't like litigation, but you were in Jodhpur and you probably did not get a job in a corporate, or it was, you didn't get something that is feasible to what
Yeah.
you liked. So you went and did a litigation, you went and you worked in litigation, and that adds to your experience, and your informs your decision making in a way that no amount of books can.
Yeah.
So I think one thing, if any young lawyer is listening, is please don't, please give a lot of weightage to professional experience, because it does inform your decision making in a way that no amount of reading, no amount of research, and intellectual debates and mooting can possibly do. So
It's a different
anyway,
ball game. I mean,
it's so
and
true.
I also like, I know there are a lot of legal influencers in this sphere, and that's fine. Students
Yeah,
are doing a different job,
yeah,
but you have some
yeah,
kind of experience, because people are going
absolutely.
to be reaching out to you.
That's exactly
And
what I'm
unless
saying.
and until you know what actually happens in reality, reading a book or reading something will not uh, give you information to answer that person
Yeah,
or help out that
properly.
person.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, yes, I mean, it works. Anyone can read anything and
yeah,
make a reel, make a video. That's a great way. Think of it like an extracurricular that you
yeah,
had in college, right? We used to do
yeah,
different kind of things, and
yeah,
nowadays youngsters do different kind of things. So
yeah,
that's fine.
yeah,
But yeah, they should definitely give more weightage to
yeah, yeah.
going out there, having work
Yeah,
experience.
especially
Yeah.
if you want to choose this as your career path, because now I believe that there are people who are actually choosing this as a career path right after college. I mean,
I
I have
wouldn't. I
my own.
wouldn't.
I
Yeah,
I
I
know.
have my reservations about
Me
that.
too. I was like, I'm trying to modulate what I say, because but yeah, I have my reservations too. In fact, that's one of the questions I'm going to ask you. And I might as well ask you that now, right? Because we are already on this topic of content creation, and uh, what are your views, what are your views on this, because I truly believe that we are at the very sort of nascent stage of this wave, and I think it's important, every single person, including the students who are coming on in the internet and speaking about it, it's important, because the general populace is fairly ignorant, clueless, and you can't blame them, because there is no way for them to really understand what is there in the law. So from that angle, whatever everybody is doing is actually cumulatively helping the populace. But what are your views first on this whole legal influencer content creation, this entire universe that we are going to see growing, or if you believe it is going to be growing? And the second question is, what is your view on people choosing it as a career option right after college or while they are in college?
Okay, firstly, is there a need for legal influencers? Yes. But then our profession is such that we need to be very credible with the information that we give, and we owe it to our profession. It's not that you can just go out there and say whatever you want and get away with
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah,
You would probably be affecting somebody's life with the kind of information you're giving
absolutely.
or the decisions that they take in their life. So it's
Yeah,
important for you to be a responsible creator. You can't just be one of those, dance and get millions of views kind of a creator as a
yeah,
legal professional,
yeah,
because you are a professional and you owe
yeah,
it to the law basically
yeah,
to
of
do the
course.
right thing.
Yeah,
So that's one thing, one way to look at it. Second, is there a need for it? Yes. Because the as a consumer, as a clientele, as a customer, as a general citizen of the country, Lawyers is not accessible at all. I mean, anybody I speak to, they're like, how do you find a lawyer?
Yeah. Oh God.
How do you reach one?
Yeah.
I'm so scared. How much
Yeah.
fees will they charge
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
This one told me 8,000, that one told me 20,000. So there is so much of discrepancy in the kind of information. There's nobody giving you the right information. There is nowhere you can go walk up to. People don't even know that there's something called, Legal Services Authority, which will give you a free lawyer. They don't even know something like this
Yeah, of
exists,
course. Yeah.
right? So unless and until the system is made in a way to only profit or only help the lawyers, law students, judges, people in the profession. It doesn't help anybody outside the profession. And they're the ones who actually need it.
Yeah.
So having more legal influencers maybe would kind of bring about a movement where law and lawyers are easily accessible to people.
Yeah.
So people, it's comfortable for them. It's no
Yeah.
longer like, oh my God, I have to
Yeah.
go to a lawyer. It's the
Yeah.
worst thing I need to do today in my
Yeah.
life. We are more accessible. We look
Yeah.
like normal human beings.
Yeah, of course.
Who you
Yeah,
can
we
approach
also
with.
have kids. We also run the house. We also have old parents. We are also the sandwich generation. So
Yeah, so I think that way, legal influencers, I definitely hope this grows, and there are a lot of people out there already, and I hope this grows. Coming to the fact that should you be doing this right out of college, people might hate me because I know this generation thinks very differently,
yeah.
and they are 15-year-old girls and guys who are making lakhs off
Yeah.
the internet. So yes, I mean, if your agenda is to just get a good paycheck, go for it. But if your agenda is to grow in the profession, be of some value to the people, value to your consumers,
Yeah.
then you definitely need experience.
Yeah.
Because our profession is not something that you can learn and help out people by just reading books
Yeah.
or just clearing your law. So there is no choice but for you. So I would suggest to students who are looking at doing this as a career to keep this as a side hustle. I
Yeah.
know it's not easy to have a side hustle as a
Yeah.
lawyer, the
Yeah.
kind of work
Yeah.
environment and the stressful jobs that we have. But yes, if you're really, really into it, this is something that you do want to continue or carry on as a profession, give it a couple of years.
Yeah.
Do it as a side hustle while you are getting experience,
Yeah.
while you know how the real world works, while you know how courts work. Unless you know that, how are you going to be of any value?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's something you can think of, give it, work on it as a side hustle, work on it on the side. And then if the options open up to do greater things on social media, then go for it.
Hmm. I agree. I don't think I would have anything more to add to what you just said. But somebody I spoke to who also does this like legal content creation. He but sometimes it also happens that if you're doing it as a side hustle, maybe your boss or your senior may not appreciate it,
May
because
not appreciate.
a lot of it's also the truth that our our profession is not the most accepting of new ways of doing things. Like, we are not the most accepting of, like, even technology. It was thrust on us because of COVID. But
Yeah.
then also now you feel like people are going out. Why? I mean, you were having hearings on WebEx, and then you sort of ramped up the infrastructure so that people, hearings can happen on WebEx. Why not continue, right? Why do you insist on pulling people back?
You will not believe this, but I recently had I have a court case going on, some property issue back home in Coog. It's a village. So uh, my lawyer there is a very senior lawyer. He calls me and he's like, "Come and meet me." So I had to literally travel 3 hours from a place called Mysore to Coog to meet him. So then I'm like, "Sir, what happened? What do you need? Do you need me to sign any documents?" "No, just pay my fees." So I was like, "Did you call me all the way here to pay your fees? I could have transferred the money to you." So he's like, "How can I ask you like money on the phone? I don't do such things." So I'm saying this because I'm 100% sure he won't be listening to this podcast.
Okay. but
But
but hopefully somebody
we
else
still
is. Yeah, don't do this, please.
we still have, very, very
Yeah,
traditional advocates, especially the senior lord, who haven't even changed a slight bit, where they are okay accepting
yeah,
fees over,
yeah,
GPay or
yeah,
net transfer. So, I mean, we have to start from there. So let's not
yeah,
talk about technology.
yeah, I know,
It's
yeah,
hard to reach in smaller places,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. But then we have the technology has sort of penetrated in smaller places. It's just the people's attitude to,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I get it when you say the older generation. And generally, I think as a sort of as a community, I think we are a bit slow. Again, we are really opening ourselves to a lot of criticism on this podcast. But the
No,
fact is,
we are not slow. We are, I mean, I would say this about myself too. We are a profession who think no end of ourselves. We really like,
yeah, we're
we
very
really
proud of
are
the, yeah,
kind of a high-headed, proud
yeah,
professionals
possible, yeah, possible.
who don't want
I
to
think we
change the
are
way
also,
things work because we think we're doing it the best, we're doing it the right
yeah,
way.
it's working.
I
Yeah,
think that
don't,
is a problem.
yeah,
We're definitely not slow, but I know, like,
yeah.
I know
So
this is not for everyone.
yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun to see what is going to be the comments on this podcast. Who's going to thrash us?
So people are gonna
But
like hate me. They're like, oh
yeah,
my god, she's
don't worry.
anyway a
We're just,
content
yeah,
creator. Like,
yeah.
what the hell?
No,
But
what
I
I
think
meant
the
by
best
slow is
part
that we're slow
about
to react to, we're slow to adopt to the new ways of doing things. We're slow to react because I feel like the mechanism is huge, right? It's almost like a dinosaur. So to maneuver it in any direction, it takes time.
yeah, that's
So
true.
yeah. Anyway, so now we'll try and speak about less controversial things, I hope. And that is, I wanted to check, you make mostly all your content is around women's rights, which is great because I learned so many things. Like I saw, can we be turned out of a matrimonial home and all of those videos that you did. Somebody actually asked me that. I mean, so my house help had an issue and all of that. And I said, ye video dekho. So, but because, and I'm sure you've been speaking to a lot of women also, right? Because I know that you get comments when you make videos like this. What do you think, in your experience, are three common mistakes that you see women making, especially in their life? And it need not be in marriage, but I mean, in general, what would you say are three common mistakes that you see people making, women making? Sorry.
I think the first most common mistake is marriage. Like, I think a lot of women, I mean, at least the ones who reach out to me, are mostly ones who have issues with marriage. They
Hmm.
either end up marrying the wrong kind, or they haven't seen
Yeah.
these red flags, ignored the red flags, taken on, uh, not reacted when they needed to react to certain
Hmm.
situations in their marriage, and then suffered over a period of time. But I also feel that, especially women, there has been a generational change.
Yeah.
Women no longer put up with
Yeah.
crap like,
Yeah.
the earlier generation used to. They are more okay and ready to move out, or more
Yeah.
comfortable with the idea of a divorce. So I think mostly people reach out to me because I also talk a lot about
Yeah.
family law, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
talk a lot because I feel that is somewhere that most people don't get the support that they
Yeah.
need. So that's why I try to talk a lot about those topics. And that's the kind of people who reach out to me. So one, the biggest thing I get is marriage related problems. Second is maybe work related problems, like they don't read their employment
Yeah.
contract, they've just signed it, and then they are in trouble when they need to leave, or they're in trouble, they're getting married, they don't know how to leave, they're going abroad to study, and they
Yeah.
need, that kind
Yeah.
of issues that the younger
Yeah.
generation especially have, because right out of college, you getting a job, it's great, and nobody's really gone through what is expected of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of, mainly those kind of issues. And third, most issues that I've seen youngsters especially have, women, is their private photographs are leaked
Yeah.
online, or somebody's blackmailing them using their photos or their chats. So safety, basically
Yeah. Cyber
not feeling
safety
very
and
safe
yeah.
on the internet, some kind
Yeah.
of bullying, cyberbullying, those issues. I think this is a common trend amongst the issues that most
Yeah.
youngsters or most
And
women face
what
these
would
days.
you say are some of the things, like if you have to give 3 tips, let's say, like for example, you spoke about marriage, like marrying the wrong guy or girl also. And you have these red flags that you're ignoring. So what would you say are some of the tips that you have seen? Like if anyone's listening to this podcast, if you can take away one thing or 3 things from you should take away these 3 things, something like that.
Like marriage related or
Not
just
just
general?
marriage, but among the 3 big buckets that you said, what are some of the common themes or behavioral patterns that you have observed that you would say that don't do this? Like one of the things you said is you're ignoring red flags.
Yeah.
And I know you made a video of red flags as well, right? I know you said like these are common red flags which you like that. So
Yeah, I think let me go to the root issues. I
yeah.
mean, these are like issues that crop up, but I feel the root causes are certain things that I've seen, especially women. If women are listening to this, uh, we when it comes to financial advice, legal advice, we tend to rely a lot on the men in our lives,
Hmm.
like our fathers, our brothers, our husbands. It's
Yeah.
something that we don't decide for ourselves, or we
Hmm.
don't decide. And because we don't decide for ourselves, we don't even try to seek that kind of information.
Correct.
For example, you would see in a regular home in India, the father or the brother would have more financial
Knowledge.
knowledge or more legal knowledge than any woman in the house. And why is that so? Because we ourselves are not putting ourselves out there to learn more. So I
Hmm.
think that is something that needs to change.
Yeah.
We need to start taking responsibility for our own awareness. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to come and put it in your head. It's something that you need to go out there and learn and understand. So if this changes, then also a lot of
Yeah.
things change for
Of
you in a
course.
marriage or in a job.
Yeah.
It gives you more perspective and
Yeah.
awareness when you're doing anything in life for that matter.
Yeah.
So that is one thing I would definitely want to tell people in general and women especially.
Hmm.
Second thing would be, again, you know, if you see a group of guys hanging out somewhere in, say, a club, or they've played a sport and they're just chilling, the conversation they have, of course, they might talk about girls, but they also talk about very important things like which stocks are you buying, or what are you investing in, or what's
Yeah.
going on around the world.
Yeah.
It is normal banter for them. But
Yeah.
you would not see that happening with
That's true.
women. We talk about what our kids, our family, if we are
Yeah.
not married, then dating, which boy,
Yeah.
what clothes. That's
That's
cool,
true.
that's fun. But then I think it's important for us to also have such conversations,
Yeah.
which, say, I have learned something new. If I can share it with another friend,
Yeah.
I have seen some video that is like, we share reels, right? Like, we
Yeah.
share memes with our friends or
Yeah.
reels with our friends.
Yeah.
Why not also share things that you
Yeah.
have
Of course.
learned?
Yeah.
Something
And
that
help
has made
us,
you.
like people like us in the process.
So
Yeah.
I think these are the little changes
Yeah.
that we can make for ourselves that would help
Yeah.
us better. So yeah, these two things, and even job related, like, I don't know why I'm talking about women all the time. Like, it's just
No, no,
become
because
a
I asked you about women,
you
so it's
did, right?
fine. Yeah.
It's just become a bad habit, I guess.
No, no.
Um, so yeah, even at work, I think we have to understand that we have to stop playing the women card. At the
Yeah.
end of it, we are
Yeah.
professional. Whatever you're doing, be it a doctor, be it a lawyer, you're a professional. You need to act like one.
Yeah.
And the minute we stop the bias for ourselves,
Yeah.
will we make a difference outside? Expecting people to not judge us or people to not show their bias, but we having it within ourselves.
That's
And
true.
we do. I mean, I'm sure all of us have done it at some point in
Yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
Played the women card to
Yeah.
maybe help ourselves out.
Yeah.
But we have to stop doing that, and we need to start behaving just as, lawyers and
Yeah.
doctors. Take a stand for ourselves, be assertive at work, ask for what we want. Nobody's going to help you out.
Yeah.
So these are few things
Yeah.
that,
Especially the last one, I think is very ingrained, so it's a bit difficult, or all three.
yes,
It's so ingrained that you don't realize that you're doing it.
yeah.
Not
So
doing
we
it.
need to, like, understand
more
that it is
aware.
ingrained and we need to change that about
True.
ourselves. So,
Yeah, that's true. I like your answer because for among the first times we're not blaming the outside. We're actually taking ownership of the fact
yeah.
that we have to take responsibility of ourselves also. Otherwise,
See,
many
there are outside
yeah
issues, of course,
issues.
and
Yeah, of
biases
course.
that
Yeah.
have affected us, but then we can't change every person's mindset, can you?
Okay, so now we are coming back to your content creation journey only because we spoke about women, and then there's a theme there because mostly all your videos are around sort of women's rights and family and things like that. So what is your content creation journey? How do you decide on your uh, topics, your videos? How is it that you think, okay, I'm going to talk about this? Is it very random? Is it a response to a question asked, or is it a very thought out sort of content calendar sort of thing that you plan?
I don't have a content calendar. I know everybody says that this is something that you need to do, but I just haven't gotten myself to doing that yet. I mostly work on if I read something interesting, if there's some news that I feel that this would be helpful to everybody, I work on that. Or I also look at themes which would help the masses. Like content creation is not about choosing the most technical or a very
Yeah, very
like the
obscure
topic
sort
has to
of.
be
Yeah,
something that affects people on a
yeah,
day-to-day
yeah. It
basis.
can't be
It
too academic.
it cannot be too academic, cannot be that Supreme Court is discussing some very important issue that probably is helpful for us lawyers, but is absolutely not helpful
Yeah,
for
of course.
a general citizen.
Yeah,
So those are the kind of topics that I would not do, although maybe it would work well in a podcast or work well when
yeah.
you're
True.
you're talking to you're reaching out to other lawyers, but not here. So yes, very massy kind
Yeah,
of
very
topics,
very
that
simple, basic.
very simple, very
Yeah,
massy, very easy to understand,
yeah,
uh, which you might feel that yes, this affects me, like something to do with traffic or something to do with a new rule change which might
yeah,
affect your life or
yeah,
affect something in your life. So yeah, so I do look for topics like that, and that takes some time. And then if there's something new, if there's a law change, like for example last year the abortion laws changed, uh, surrogacy is no longer, commercial surrogacy is no longer allowed in India. So certain important topics like this is what I like to cover. uh, yeah, so I do research on it to ensure that I'm doing the right thing. I mean, even if you're talking for 30 seconds, uh, even if someone's talking for 30 seconds, it's important to say the right thing. So, yes, sufficient amount of research goes into ensuring that there is something that I've not missed in the
yeah.
background, or,
I
there's been
know.
no law change on something that I've
Yeah,
said. Yeah. So
yeah.
that's what goes into it.
It takes actually a long time, no? I mean, it's quite an arduous process because, like, it's more difficult to speak for 30 seconds than it is to speak for 30 minutes. So
Yes.
you have to
Yes,
condense,
absolutely.
condense, condense, and then
Because
you
we as a profession like to talk a lot.
yeah,
We don't know how to,
make it short and simple. And at the same time,
yeah,
you're very afraid if we make it short and simple, we're not conveying
missing out
all
on.
of the yeah, because we know that like law is never black and white, right? It's not like the only black and white is if you kill this person, you'll go to jail. But then you would have all this, oh, if it's self-defense, if it's this, if so there's so many if and but that you have to try and
Yeah,
convey all of that in 30 to 60
30.
seconds,
Yeah,
which is hard.
that's
Uh,
true. That's
what would you say have been, because you've been doing this now for a few years, what would you say have been some of your highs in your journey? Like if you have to think about the highs that you've experienced.
I think my first high in content creation was when a reel went viral. Because I didn't even know that people would like to listen to something like this.
Huh.
Like, I didn't know that people would be accepting of me talking about laws, because that's something that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when my first abortion, I did a reel on abortion laws, which went kind of viral at that time, was I was like, okay, this is it. I think I can continue doing
Yeah.
this because it
Yeah.
works and
Yeah.
people are accepting it. So that was my first first little high in my content creation journey. I've had a couple of things like you mentioned in the start. I was a part of the Levi's Shape Your World campaign
Yeah.
alongside Manira Bedi. And,
Mm.
so it was, I mean, I think being a content creator has kind of given me the opportunities to do such things, which I'm sure as a lawyer I would have never got. I mean, nobody would have thought of let's call Tanya for like, a Levi shot. So those are that's the kind of reach and opportunity you have being on social media. And it was definitely a high for me and an entirely different concept of seeing how a different industry works. So I really enjoyed that. And definitely the next one has to be the Forbes. I always, and in college, we used to see 30 under 30. And it was always a dream that maybe, if I do well enough in life, I would be on it. But unfortunately, I think life had other plans and I moved into entirely different fields, but it was such a joy and honor to be on Forbes.
Yeah.
Um, albeit not as a lawyer, but as a legal content creator,
Yeah.
but it it did feel great. And
Yeah, of
I
course.
think those were the two highs. Yeah.
Yeah. But congratulations on being part of that list, because that list had some amazing professionals. So you were
Yeah.
in great company, and it's actually proof of concept, right? When you are recognized to be part of a list which has so many different professionals, it's proof of
Yeah.
concept of what you're doing. And this is,
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
I think it would inspire a lot of other
I'm sure it did. Definitely,
lawyers
I was
because,
inspired. So I can tell you
it's like,
that,
okay, fine. Somebody is recognizing that a legal content creator too,
yeah, yeah.
as yeah,
Yeah,
as a profession. So
has a place in this entire sort of lineup where we were not even present.
that's true.
We didn't feature at all.
Yeah.
um, so now that we're talking about generally our profession, just to close out this part of the discussion, what would you say are some things in our profession that, or rather, we have many gaps and we know it, but what do you say are some of the gaps that you have observed in our profession, and what are some of the things that we can do, as in you, me, and others like us, to sort of plug the gaps? Because I truly believe that you with your Insta lawyer are, are taking steps in that direction, but what would you say?
Like as a system as a whole, I have a couple of things to say. Uh, as just you and me, I think we can continue doing what we're doing. That is spread the awareness, make allow people to reach out more to lawyers, recommend good lawyers who are
The last part is really important.
because I have seen a huge gap in the need, like say a generation of 25 to 35. A lot of people tell me that, say for example, they want a lawyer, they go to their fathers and they're like, we need a lawyer. So the father takes them to a friend or somebody a friend has suggested, probably of their age or around that age. So say a 30-year-old girl goes to a, I'm putting it, I'm so used to simplifying things, so I'm going to simplify it a lot. Goes to a 50-year-old lawyer and has issues in her marriage, so she's discussing her marriage. He doesn't get it. Like, this generation of people, they want somebody, a professional, to get what they're saying.
Yeah, they
And
want
that's what
relatability.
they want, relatability. So they're like, how can I go to them and discuss my sex life?
Yeah.
How can I tell them that, this is the problem in my sex life? Say, for example, that is a problem or that is the issue in the marriage. They're not able to share it with their lawyers. And ideally, everything has to be shared with your lawyer. How else is he going to help you out? So that person doesn't believe that, not having sex in your life is an issue for which you need to go get a divorce. I've had so many women tell me this, that, my lawyer just laughed at me when I discussed my problems. He just smirked, saying, what is a big deal in this? So we need to, as professionals, I mean, especially if you're, in litigation, and you have clients coming to be able to put yourself in their shoes and understand, however, whatever your perspective or whatever your idea of a particular thing might be, you have to change that for them. So you need to make yourselves more relatable,
Hmm.
more approachable to clients. So that's something I would like to tell all of us out there who are
In
lawyers and
practicing.
advocates. Yeah. So I think I just wanted to mention that there's no standardization of fees in the system, in the sense that one lawyer would charge a certain amount of money, another one would charge something else. A few years senior or junior would charge something else. So I think as a customer, you
Yeah,
don't
you
know
don't
whom
know
to
what
go to
is the,
or
yeah,
where to go to, because
yeah,
yeah, you don't know
yeah,
what is the standard. You don't know whether, because a lot of people complain that I've been ripped off. I feel like I've been ripped off. I feel like I've been giving a lot of money. So I think
yeah,
that is something in the system can
yeah.
change a bit, a
That's,
little bit of
yeah,
standardization. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know how we can practically bring that in, but that maybe that's something we can all think about. Okay, I
Yeah.
know, Tanya, I know you need to go, so I'm gonna quickly wrap up this section and this and the last section of my podcast, which I do for myself mainly because I love listening to the
Okay.
answers. It's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I ask you five of something, four of something, three of something, like that. Okay, so and then we go to one.
Wow.
So five productivity tips that you would like to give, or you can even include apps or something else that has helped you.
I think to have like a clean desk is definitely helpful. Working when you are the most productive, because for some it could be early morning, for some it could be late night. Usually people say that get up early in the morning and get your things done. It doesn't work for me. For me, I'm more of a late night person, and doing things late night works for me. So look for what works for you. It could be the afternoon. I work whenever it's productive for you. Um, as a content creator, usually use a lot of I use Canva, I use InShot, which is very easy for me to edit. So if you're looking into doing content creation and editing yourself, these are the simple apps which really help you. Um, yeah, productivity is, I can't think of five things, Jenna.
Okay, never mind. We can add two more. Do you like you write down everything that you have to do, like you have a to-do list that you or
Yeah,
you have a
I usually
plan?
use it, I put it on my phone, like I have
Yeah.
reminders on my phone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
And
And having some kind of clarity for
yeah,
your start of the day by putting it in your to do. What are you going to do in the
yeah,
morning? Finish off your important ones first. I think those are the basic
yeah,
things.
yeah. Unfortunately, basic is what we ignore mostly, you know. Okay, four books that you would recommend to anyone.
I hate recommending books because I only read fiction, and I'm
Huh.
into like a lot of spy thrillers, CIA, World War. So I don't usually recommend, but I can recommend one book that I recently read, which was quite interesting. It says How to Do Nothing
Wow.
by Jenny Odell. And I think it's very relevant in today's culture, like the very hyper hustle culture.
Yeah.
So it's like a nice step back, especially if you're feeling a burnout. You should definitely try reading this book. It's a lovely book.
But what about the ones that you like your harsh fiction? Because I'm a big fiction fan. So I'm happy to hear recommendations of books that you.
I'm so blank right now.
Okay, we'll come back to that. But then, How to Do
Yeah, we'll
Nothing
come.
is a book that I've never read. If we have to give out awards, right, of the most recommended books, the two that will get one is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Have you read it? And the other one is Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. As in, if they all both these books are going to get lifetime achievement award because that much it's been recommended. Every second
Okay, I
person
have an
is.
issue. I don't read self-help books.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't like reading self-help books, so
Huh.
you probably will never find me reading
Yeah.
a self-help book.
Yeah.
But this one I read because I found the name very interesting,
Yeah. How
and
to
it
Do
was
Nothing. Yeah.
definitely an interesting read. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me check it out because I haven't even heard of it, honestly. Okay. Three tips that you'd like to give young lawyers or law graduates or even law students.
Let's talk about law students.
Yeah.
Definitely intern while you're studying. That's something that really, really helps you. Firstly, decide what you want to do in your career, what you don't want to do in your career. right?
Yeah.
That's how you learn. Getting out of law school and then trying to experience that is going to waste a lot of your time. So
Yeah.
do that when you're in college, and definitely join all the possible clubs, moods,
Committees. Yeah.
societies, whatever you have in college, because
Yeah.
you're not going to get that back. You're not going to
Yeah.
get that life back. You probably will not have time for any kind of extracurricular activities once you start working, because our profession is such that, especially in the early stages, the
Yeah. You need to
time you
give a
have
lot
is,
of time.
yeah,
Yeah.
to do all that sports, whatever it is that is
Yeah. I
available to you
agree.
in your
Yeah.
college. Please go ahead and do that. And for young professionals, I think our work requires a lot of time, but gives you very less in less returns in money, especially in litigation, not in corporate, but especially if you want to become, if you want to litigate. And uh, I'm sure you must be knowing this, that we don't get really paid really well in the early stages. But I think it's important. Uh,
Yes.
I mean, there are conversations around it. We are
Yeah.
trying to change things for the next generation, but it's important that you keep that aside and
Yeah.
concentrate on how much you can learn, uh, and make the best use of the opportunity that you have. Of
Hmm.
course, I mean, we are going to try, at least our generation should try and change things
Yeah.
around for, when it comes to not paying our interns or paying our juniors.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. 2 life lessons that you have learned personally so far in your life. You've personally learned.
uh, it's never too late to start in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
started doing content when I was 35. So I think if if you put your mind to it,
Yeah. You can do anything.
you can do anything.
Yeah.
And second would be, as a people pleaser myself, I can personally vouch for this, that it's high time, whichever phase of life you are in, to stop doing things for others. Um,
Hmm.
if you are in some fancy law firm, it's not working out for you. Uh, don't just stay there because people look at it as you're doing something amazing.
Yeah.
If it's not working out for you, if you're not enjoying it, if
Yeah.
you're mentally in a very bad state, then please do think of other options. People pleasing, you will realize with time, if you're in your 20s, you feel the need to do things
Yeah.
for the society, for people, to make yourself look good in front of everyone. But after a point of time, you will self realize that it's not worth it. You're not
Yeah.
achieving
It's not.
anything out of it.
It's absolutely
Yeah.
not.
So if we learned it very late in life,
Yeah.
you can learn it earlier in life,
Yeah.
because we're
Yeah.
telling you that this is
Yeah.
how it is.
Of
Yeah.
course. Here. We get it. And not just in your professional life, even your personal life, right?
Yes, of course, personal life. I
Draw
mean,
your
we take a lot of.
boundaries and just sometimes
Yeah.
it's okay if people don't like you.
Yes.
Okay. And finally, the last question is the best piece of advice you've ever been given.
Uh, I recently heard, it wasn't a direct advice, but I recently was in a panel and I heard a very, very young content creator, very young and very famous content creator, state that making content, you might start making content because of a passion, right? You start with passion, but passion is not going to take you ahead. You need to start thinking about whatever you're doing like a business.
Hmm.
The minute you stop thinking of it in the start, having a passion would kind of push you into it, but then you need to start thinking of your work like a business, and that's what's going to take you ahead.
Hmm.
So I am currently trying to think of my work like a
Yeah.
business, and trying to take advice from a very, very young Gen Z, because I think they know better what they're doing in the social
Correct.
media space. So yeah, I think that would be a great advice in the recent years that I've heard.
Yeah. It's good advice. I
Yeah.
should think of it
You should take it
myself.
to
I should take it too. Yeah, of course. Tanya, thank you so much for giving me your time. I know you have to go, so I'm not going to keep you long. But thank you. And I hope I meet you in person at some point.
Definitely. Next
Yeah.
time I'm in Mumbai, we should definitely catch up.
Yes. Okay. Take care.
All right. Thank you so much, Jen. It was a pleasure talking to
Yes.
you.
Likewise.
And all the best for your podcast.
Thank
I think
you.
you're doing an amazing job,
Thank
and
you.
this is
Thank you.
much, much needed.
Yes.
So all the
Hopefully
best for you.
we will one step at a time, one content piece at a time. We'll all
All right.
make it there. Okay. See you.